Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show here on PLZ Soccer, sponsored by Arnold Clark. Delighted to have your company. In the company today, Alan Rough, Hugh MacDonald, Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin. More than happy to read out all your messages after a weekend of interesting football over 2 days. Bob Duff already sent me a message saying, any chance you could give Aberdeen some credit on the show today, Peter? We might do that, Bob. You never know. Don't forget to like, share and follow us on our Facebook, and you can subscribe. It's absolutely free on our YouTube channel. Thank you to the 20,000 who've subscribed so far, and of course the thousands who are joining the football family. The figures for the programme last week, absolutely amazing, because people want to talk about their team passionately. We've got lots to get through, as well as, of course, the Europa League draw, which has come in, and it's an interesting one. Let's have a look immediately at the teams and who they are paired up against. So it's Lincoln Red Imps against Rangers, Viking FC against Aberdeen, and Coleraine against Motherwell. Celtic will find out their opponents tomorrow. Lincoln Red Imps, well, there's an interesting one, Roughie.
Yeah, we certainly know all about them. Brendan Rodgers' first game in Europe, although Celtic did see them off in the second leg. It just shows you if things don't go all right on the night, that even the smaller teams can get a victory. But, I think Rangers should be able to take them. They've been particularly impressive away from home in Europe. The manager's got them playing that European style. So I can't see any problems at all for Rangers in that one.
Yeah, okay, thanks to Niall, who joins us every day, as often as he possibly can. Of course, Una Brennan, Robert Monroe, Nicky Twig, Watty Ross joins us with a top fan badge as well. Lots of people want to give us their thoughts on their team today. Yeah, Lincoln Red Imps is one thing. Aberdeen and Motherwell. Motherwell with another Irish team, Hugh, would that be good news for a team that's sitting bottom of the table?
I think Coleraine will prove problems. Will cause problems, particularly at home. I don't think it's a gimme the way I would think that the Lincoln Imps is a gimme for Rangers. But I still expect Motherwell to go through.
Yeah, and what about the last tie? Because Aberdeen do deserve credit, Tam, because Derek was looking for that bouncing back after the nightmare of the Aberdeen 8 in the pubs. And suddenly he's got it. He got the 9 points he was looking for.
Yeah, he has. They've bounced back brilliantly, Peter. Obviously, I thought Aberdeen were really good yesterday against Hibs. They've won 4 games since a meek display against Rangers, it has to be said. They've bounced back with 4 victories, and that'll be a tough game. That's probably a 50-50 game. Viking are a good side in Norway, and they've been playing a lot more games than Aberdeen, so they're well into their season. Aberdeen away from home are hard to beat anywhere. So I would think that Aberdeen are more than capable of going over there. I think Viking play AstroTurf, so that's maybe the only issue, playing on an artificial surface, but I would still fancy Aberdeen to edge that one.
Yeah, don't know about you, Roughie. I prefer the brick background of one of the new rooms in his house. He's obviously found another bland background in another new house, Roughie. I don't know about you. Is there any character whatsoever to Tam McManus?
Yeah, well, give him the benefit of the doubt. You still get time to hang up some pictures. It's a new house. I'm sure he'll have something there that he can stick up for Wednesday.
Peter, I've got boxes everywhere in that other room. Honestly, I can't move. Misses his shoes and clays and everything all over the place. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that room wouldn't be against us, to be perfectly honest with you. Look at Ruffy's eyes lighting up there as soon as you mentioned it. Anyway, apart from anything else, I would like to say to you at this point, thank you for all the messages that are coming through. Lots of people saying, still think Motherwell will be in the top 6, Peter, says Jimmy Wright. Jimmy, I'm going to stand by it because we all have to stand by our predictions. And talking of predictions later on in the show, we're going to be talking to the runaway leader of the predictions at the moment, who's absolutely having an absolute blast. Will we be able to rein him in? I do not know. Anyway, let's look at the games at the weekend. Hamilton 0, Rangers 2. Hugh, I thought Rangers in this match, as you see all the scores there, Kilmarnock with a good win, Livingston edging in against Ross County, St Mirren, similar scoreline. Celtic, well, 3-0 at the end against Motherwell and Aberdeen with their win. But Rangers, first of all, Hugh, I thought it was 2. It could have been, if they were a wee bit more ruthless, it could have been 5, 6, anything they wanted.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think Rangers and Steven Gerrard will look at that as a good day's work. You know, you go there, Hamilton, and that great cliche, always make it difficult. They always got people behind the ball. It's a kind of surface that you know that can be a leveler. So I think Rangers another 3 points, another clean sheet as well, and another victory without Alfredo Morelos.
Yeah, you mentioned clean sheets. The manager, Steven Gerrard, not too worried about the clean sheet record.
It's fantastic to keep clean sheets. It gives you that base to go and win football matches, and that's what I'm really pleased about. But it's not clean sheet records I want. I want success for the team come the end of the season. That's the main target for us all.
Well, he's had a good start, Tam. I mean, I thought they played well. I mean, as I watched the game, I thought to myself, you know, they could make it anything they want. Kent is slowly but surely becoming their main player, and as Hugh touched on there, Morelos, well, he might have been fit, but he was in the stand.
Yeah, I don't think that Rangers need him at the minute. They've brought 2 new strikers in, and they're both playing well, and the team are playing well. And I don't think Alfredo will get back into the team at the minute with the way Rangers are playing. You know, comfortable victory, but as you said, you know, a wee bit more ruthless. Could have been 4 or 5, and those goals might be, you know, it might be crucial at the end of the season, Peter, because I don't think there's going to be much between Celtic Rangers all season. I think they're going to be nip and tuck all the way, and who knows, it might come down to goal difference at the end, a couple of goals here or there. So I think in terms of Celtic and Rangers, when they're 2 and 3-0 up, they need to go for the jugular and try and get 5 and 6, because that could be worth an extra point at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Itten, I beg your pardon, is out for 3 weeks with a calf injury, Roughie. So that type of thing is a blow, because it's going to be, I think, a squad game this season, especially for the top 2.
Yeah, well, we saw it last year with Celtic. We were always talking about when things weren't going particularly well, you would look over at the bench and there was an abundance of ability there, and 9 times out of 10, when they were given a chance to come on and turn the game, they did it. You know, and that's what both teams will be looking for this year. So you're right. You know, I think the stronger bench, you know, will be the ones who'll come out and top, especially with Defoe injured as well. That's a blow, because I think the Rangers will always score goals. You know, there's no doubt about that. But there's tougher games for both of them cut around the corner, and I think that's when they'll be judged on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the stats might be positive, but I have to say, they haven't really had too many difficult games, either of them, just yet. I think you're absolutely 100% correct, Ruffy. I'm going to read out a few names. Fiona Docherty, good to have you with us. Jerry Black. George Grant says, I've watched this programme since lockdown. Any chance of a wee mention? George, I'm absolutely delighted that you can join us on the programme and regularly watch it. We really do appreciate that. Of course, lots of fans talking sensibly about their football club on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube as well. And also, George, if you download the app, you get all the information at your fingertips. So it's great to have you on board. There are lots of people who regularly are with us from all across the globe. That's what we find, all wanting to put their point of view across. Of course, Hamilton, you know, they got that win against Motherwell, Hugh, but I really do think they are going to be involved at that bottom end. It's going to be a battle, even although, you know, Brian Rice likes his team to try and play football. I just get this feeling that they're going to be involved at that bottom end.
Careful what you're saying here, Jug.
Exactly.
I'm dead at ease with it, Tam, because it's an absolute certainty that they're going to be They're going to be involved at the bottom end. I mean, that's the way it's going to be, and I think as well with the resources they've got, that's where they should be. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult to punch above your financial acumen, shall we say, at the moment in football. You don't, if you more or less get what you pay for. And Hamilton, I've always had to sort of react to that reality. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, you ask me if you know, outside the bottom 2 places would be Bunting around Hamilton Town Centre. Finishing second bottom would be, you know, would not be a disaster for them. I just think the whole thing, every season for them, and I think quite rightly, I'm trying to be as honest and frank as I can, is not to finish last. That's it.
See, to be honest, Peter, you looked at the bench they had and the young boys were bringing on. They seem to be getting younger every time they made a substitution. They're bringing all these kids through, so I think it's great for Hamilton that they're giving all these young boys a chance. You know, if you're a parent and you're looking to your son to go to a club, Hamilton Accies has surely got to be up there because Brian Rice is playing them all. You know, there's 5 or 6 of them in there and they've all for the first team, so it's great. It's great for them, and you'd like to see them staying up just because of the fact that they're giving so many young players a chance.
Yeah, my only problem with that at the moment, Roughie, is in previous years they've been able to look towards maybe 2 or 3, a sprinkling of experience in there, a Dougie Imrie to help the youngsters, Gogic last year to help along as well and add a bit of solidity. I'm not too sure they've got an abundance of that this season.
Mm-hmm. No, time will tell on that one. You know, it's okay just now throwing them on, and against the teams that you're not expected to beat. If he continues to throw them on against the teams that are going to be down the bottom 6, and he's not getting the results because as Rice will tell you, that's where he'll be judged. That they're the ones that he'll be hoping to pick up points at home, particularly against the other teams that are down the bottom. And if you continue to lose games, you lose a wee bit of faith in young players. You feel as if you're spoiling their career. So time will tell on that one for me. It just depends how things goes. If they're winning games, you let the young ones play. I'm sure they'll benefit for that. But if it goes the opposite way, you could have a problem.
Yeah, right at the start of the season, I predicted Motherwell would finish in the top 3. It's looking a little bit grim at the moment. I have to tell you, they're in the bottom. I'm wondering if they're able to get into the top. So, I was just about to say, get out now. But to be fair, there are some elements of Motherwell that I like watching. I just don't think they've got it in the final third. I was there at Celtic Park watching them yesterday. I just think they're lacking up front. Tony Watt is running his guts off and desperately trying to do something to get himself a goal, to get that confidence going. But, the supporting cast, the other strikers are there. They just can't buy a goal at the moment. Although, if you listen to the manager, Stephen Robinson, he's certainly not for panicking.
And yeah, of course, the frustration is we haven't got points on the board. I can't hide away from that. There's been things I think is very good, which gives me the confidence that we will turn it around. Now, look at all our teams last season who didn't start particularly well and finished top 6, and no reason why we can't turn that around. We certainly won't be pressing any panic buttons.
Well, yesterday at one point they played well enough, Hugh, to keep Celtic out for a wee while, and then eventually Celtic, I have to say, we're talking 40 minutes here, Hugh. Celtic with no striker again, and their first real chance on goal ended up in a goal, and that was through James Forrest.
Yeah, what a goal it was as well. Real class. I mean, we were talking about Scottish football, and that was very much the elite level, wasn't it? McGregor's run, his ability to see the pass, and Forrest's finish, which was emphatic to say the least. The problem with Motherwell is Motherwell falling into the category now of they're too good to go down. We had this narrative for right up to Christmas last year with Hearts, where finally, I think round about Christmas, we all sat down and went, you know what? They might not be too good to go down. They might be, they might be in that kind of free fall. I don't think so with Motherwell. I think Motherwell will get out of it, but nobody should underestimate how difficult it is to get back on it after a really poor run of form.
Yeah, and talking of poor results and trying to bounce back, of course, Celtic did indeed bounce back. Klimala, he's another one who's desperately trying to score a goal. He missed 2 great chances, but Albion Ayeti scored once more, and then I suppose it was just at the end there where Julian added the third. But nevertheless, the manager having to defend himself for once again starting without any strikers.
I make decisions, and you live and die off them for the benefit, or what we think's the benefit of the club, not some sort of ego trip. I've always put the club first and the players first, and I'll remain that way. I expect the criticism after the game, and the volume of criticism is, sometimes out of sync, out of balance. But you learn to live with that. And I wanted a response today from the players, and I got one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Celtic got the win, Tam. I still think, that he wants to play a 3-5-2. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. And with the possible arrival of Shane Duffy, I think he'll be able to play that.
Yeah, I think Duffy would be a great signing for Celtic. It seems that he's on his way, according to all reports. So that'll be a brilliant bit of business. We've spoke about it in the show many times, Peter, that he's exactly what Celtic are needing. You can play him in the back three with Julian and Ayer. And I think that would be a really strong back three, a bit of aggression in there as well. And, I don't see why he's not really... Obviously, he gave Klamara, I think, a half. He brought him on at half-time and he had a couple of chances. But I said it last week, I just don't think... I don't think he's going to be good enough for Celtic, Klamala. And for what I've seen so far and everything that I'm hearing coming out of Parkhead, £3.5 million is a big outlay, and I don't think the manager's got any confidence in him at the minute. Or else he would be playing him, he'd be starting him.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he had his chances. Maybe he just needs a goal like every striker to get him around. The jury's out for me on him anyway. Ayeti continues his goal scoring. I did ask the manager if he was hoping to get any players in the break, the international break, and he said one or two, Roughie, is what he'd like in. If Duffy's one of them, he's obviously going to look towards, possibly a left back. Who knows? But the one thing I would say to you, Roughie, is it's going to be very interesting to see who heads out the door before October 5th. That's the key. I mean, Jimmy Wright's saying, have you heard any rumours that Ryan Christie is unhappy at Celtic? I think Ryan Christie falls into that kind of a Stuart Armstrong bracket, Roughie. I think there will come a time when he said, I want to try and go in the Premiership. That's the kind of rumour I've heard anyway as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, with Lenny coming out with the statement after the game, now people are drawing their own conclusions of who the people were he was actually talking about. And some of them you can guess. Yeah, I would say Sham. And the Edward one is one that needs to be clarified. He needs to come out and say, look, I'm quite happy where I am, or give some kind of vocal backing. The Christie one, I think, has drawn conclusions because he hasn't signed a contract. That might be just because he's negotiating for a good contract. But I wouldn't have thought at this moment in time the Scottish boys would be looking to go to bigger places. We know Callum McGregor could get a position down south with Leicester. So what Lenny's done by saying that is just putting a doubt on 4 or 5 players. And we won't know who they are until bids actually come in and then they're out the door.
Yeah, I'm always amazed that you say that every year, Roughie, that a player needs to come out and tell everybody what his thoughts are and where he's going and what he's going to do.
Well, that's what they usually do.
But Roughie, I couldn't give two hoots what a player says because, see, clubs will sell them at the drop of a hat. Just because somebody says they're committed to a club, it's not worth the paper it's written on or the words that come out of their mouth. Things can change.
Yeah.
And Celtic are one of those clubs that they could sell a player on the last day, in the last hour, and then shut the window and take the money. They've done it before.
Yep, I agree with that. But I mean, that's what supporters like to hear. Supporters like to hear Ryan Kent saying, I'm happy where I am, as it is just now. That relaxes him a wee bit. But yeah, you're right. If the right bid comes in for him, he'll go. But all I'm saying is, from a supporter's point of view, is you like to hear players saying these kind of things. Whether they happen or not is a different thing.
I don't know. I don't know many mates that I've got that like to hear a player say something. I think we're living in a world now, Tam, where people don't actually believe half the claptrap that comes out.
Yeah, you can't win. If you come out and say you're happy at a club and then a couple of weeks later you leave, you're getting called a traitor. Kieran Tierney's one of them. Kieran Tierney said he was happy at the club and then he was sold, because Celtic wanted the money for him and he was on his way. So I just think you should keep your mouth shut. Just get your head down, play football. I don't think you should come out and say it either way because you never know what's around the corner, and you can't win with supporters.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you even better than that, Hugh. I watched a video today of a young Barcelona fan who absolutely slaughters Lionel Messi. And at the end of it, he said, when you came to the training camp at La Masia, you were penniless. We gave you a job, and I thought, and I started to laugh, and I thought to myself, the world has gone mad. If you are slaughtering Lionel Messi, the game's up. It's over, Hugh.
Well, I've had some experience with this, Peter. My son Alistair and his mate Andy and me went to watch Real Madrid v Seville, and there was a bunch of supporters just in front of us, and they were absolutely slaughtering Ronaldo for not tracking back. By the way, the score was 7-3, and Ronaldo had just completed a hat-trick and 2 assists. So I turned round to Andy and Ali saying, wouldn't it be great to support this team, and your biggest target on a Wednesday night for slaughtering is Cristiano Ronaldo? Wouldn't that be wonderful, you know? But that's supporters. Supporters, I mean, the higher the level, there'll be guys. I mean, you're talking about at the moment about people, criticising some of the Celtic performances. There'll be people at Motherwell. There'll be people in the Championship saying, "My goodness, you're criticising this one and that one. We would die to have somebody of that quality in the team." It's all levels, but it's all brilliant, Peter.
Yeah,
I love a supporters rant.
Yeah, Tony Holton, who says, yeah, I've looked at that video. It's fake. Even if it was fake, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, the madness that goes on with players, Tony, is absolutely incredible. The madness that goes on with fans and the PR spin that comes out now. You just look at it with a certain amount of cynicism, whether it's Lionel Messi or whether it's Odsonne Edouard. Odsonne Edouard came out tomorrow and said, I'm committed to Celtic, and somebody said, here's 50 million. They'd be like, they'd be driving him. They'd be driving him right down the road to wherever he was going, and that's the nature of it. I've got no qualms with it whatsoever. If you want to go on and move on and better yourself, it is a job. The days of saying you'll love a club and it's your life and you'll not be going anywhere for more money are well and truly gone. Those days.
There's no loyalty in football, Peter. Never been a truer saying.
None.
And that's coming from somebody who knows.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Tam, which is one of the reasons why, Tam, we never invited you to our wee night out last night, Hugh, because you never know where you are with Tam, by the way. I mean, it's just, if he gets a better offer, he goes to another meal. It's like Roughie. Roughie didn't want to hang about with us last night because he had a better offer, Hugh.
Well, that's all the way. I'd just like to hear Roughie come out and say that, Peter. I think it's all very well us saying it, but we don't really know.
Yeah,
he's not a man. No. He's not come out and actually. He's not come out and said. He's not come out to the fans and said why he will not come on a night out with us. And I think he's really got to commit himself to PLZ and say that he's committed to nights out before we can really move forward.
Roughie, before you even open your mouth, you don't need to say you're committed to PLZ. No. That happened about 2 months ago, and look what happened to him.
Yes.
don't say it, Roughie. Don't say it. Don't say it. I can't go the number 6 and the number 1 suddenly having to do a massive U-turn. Anyway, yeah.
Right. No. Peter knows I had a prior engagement. That I couldn't let the people down. I had to go there, and it was a big day for them. So I'm just a kind of person who can't let people down.
Well, Roughie, I know that. Hugh, if I could just clarify that, the people that he didn't want to let down were far better looking than us and looked far better with or without makeup. That's all I'm going to say to you. Anyway, talking of people we need to pay tribute to. No, it wasn't a high bar with me, you, and Tam Cowan last night, I have to tell you. But the eventual night that Roughie was going to, I think if McManus had the offer, he would have gone with Roughie and given us a custard pie, let me tell you, 100%. Anyway, I'm going to pay tribute to Aberdeen. In a sense, let me quantify this. You can't take away the fact that Aberdeen, good performance, Tam, at Easter Road, was it? Give us your insight into Aberdeen and how they played.
I thought Hibs were the better side for the first 15-20 minutes. Martin Boyle has a great chance the first couple of minutes. Joe Lewis drops the ball, and if he chips it anywhere over him, it's a goal. Christian Deutsch has a great chance, blazes it over the bar, and I think after that, Aberdeen took control of the game. Aberdeen looked fitter, they looked stronger, looked more physical, you know, and they've got a little bit of spark up front with Hedges and Watkins. Johnny Hayes, Matthew Kennedy, the right wing back was excellent. Gave young Josh Doig a really hard game, and to be honest with you, I thought Aberdeen deserved to win the game. I thought they were excellent in the second half. Hibs had one real opportunity with Dre Wright where he should have shot. He tried to play it across the goal. But apart from that, Hibs created very little, and they were really disappointing in the final third. So Aberdeen ran out worthy winners, and on that performance, I think that Hibs still need another couple of players in, Peter. I think they maybe need another centre midfield player. I think it's a pity that Hibs missed out on Ross McCrory. I thought he was excellent yesterday. Thought he was the best player in the park. Thought he had a really good game, and I think he'd have been ideal for Hibs, but it wasn't to be. He's went to Aberdeen, and Aberdeen, you know, their squad. I think Niall McGinn come on. Che Logan was on the bench. Curtis Main was on the bench. Dylan McGeer on the bench. And you know, you've got Cosgrove to come back in, Bryson. So Aberdeen have got a really, really strong squad, and they've still, for me, they've got to be the favourites to finish third.
Yeah, well, Derek McInnes was raving about Ross McCrory.
I love the boy. I absolutely love. I think he's a dream on and off the pitch. You know, I like boys who are hungry. I like boys who are motivated. A lot of boys leave the old firm and think it's downhill for there, and a lot of them, because they think that, they don't ever go in and do anything. When they know it, he's different. I think having Ross to have that power in there and intelligence allows us to play with maybe one or two attacking players more at times.
Well, that's not bad, Tam, for a first appearance from him. But I mean, it's a wee bit over the top, to be perfectly honest with you.
Peter, I thought he was excellent. I thought he did a really, really good game. Derek just must really like him. You know, he spoke about being off the park. He must be a good kid. And his hunger, his drive. You know, he was picking the ball up in the middle of the park. He was running past people. He's quick. You know, he's strong in the tackle. You know, he can see a pass. He looked a real quality player yesterday. And as I said to you, I'm just a bit gutted that Hibs never managed to get that over the line, because it'd have been a tremendous signing. But that's Aberdeen's game, and Aberdeen looked, I must admit, looked apart yesterday. I thought they were really good.
Yeah, did they play good football? Because I got the sense from them once they went a goal ahead, they started to make it difficult for Hibs to break them down. Because Hibs had a couple of chances.
Yeah, they did. As I said earlier, you know, the first 10, 15 minutes, Hibs had two great chances. You know, the Martin Boyle chip, you know, he's got to do better. He's under-hit it into the goalie's hands after he dropped it. And then Christian Doidge's got so much time in the box. He's took a touch, and then he could have hit it, you know, before he did, and he blazed it over the bar. Josh Doig had a shot saved by the goalkeeper. So it was Hibs, all Hibs early doors, but you've got to take your chances against Aberdeen. And as soon as Aberdeen get the penalty, which is a dreadful error from Martin Boyle, you know, he's sleeping at sloppy play. You know, and he doesn't see Watkins coming in his blind side. And as soon as Aberdeen get the goal, Peter, second half, I just never ever felt as if Hibs were going to score and break them down. You know, they were so solid. Johnny Hayes was excellent, and Matthew Kennedy, and the three centre backs. You know, they go into a good shape, Aberdeen. They're very hard to break down. You know, Rangers have seen that over the last couple of seasons as well, where, you know, they've went to Ibrox and won, you know, the semi-final. They go a goal up, Aberdeen, and they're tough to break down. So all credit to them. They've got a wee bit of pace and a wee bit of flair in the forward areas. I think they're better than last season. So, you know, I was impressed with Aberdeen. I really was.
Yep, and of course you called it that they were going to beat Hibs at Easter Road as well.
Yeah.
So, to your credit at the moment, yeah, look at him trying to lick his own arm there, Hugh. To be honest with you, but over and above that, you had an unhappy Hibs manager, and the reason he was unhappy is because of the dithering over Alex Gogic and that test for coronavirus.
The length of time it took us to get clarity from the SFA was not good. You know, I would have assumed that they would have had protocol in place that would enable them to give quick answers to a club in this situation, because I would have anticipated that they would believe this might have came around, because we're testing a lot. And if the infection rate through society is increasing, then there's a high possibility that a footballer is going to test positive at some point. So I would have expected them some sort of checklist that would say this is what you do. It took a long time for us to get answers to whether we could train, what we could do, what happened to the player, etc. And if that is a positive that comes out of this in terms of them reassessing the information they have available to give to clubs in these situations, then that will be a plus.
Oh, unhappy man, Hugh.
It is absolutely right to be absolutely bang on. What you can nobody is expecting anybody to have or to for this to sail through the season without glitches and without upsets, and we're seeing the infection rate rising in society as well, which raises a rather menacing sort of spectre over football. But what you can expect, that if you have situation A, there is a protocol in place addresses situation A. I mean, we get criticism all the time is about people, all these boys in blazers with their rules and their protocols and all that. That's what they should have. So that if a manager or a club goes to them and says, we've got a player in such a situation, what should we do? It should just be a matter of looking down and saying, this is what you do. And he's bang on about that, Jack Ross. No, support him 100% on that.
Yeah. I was going to say they're quicker handing out fines, but they're not necessarily. You never know how long it takes them for any decision. If you look back over, the SFA and the SPFL over the last 4 or 5 months. But nevertheless, he's an unhappy man, and we need speed on the decision. So Livingston, they got a goal. They won the game. And I think all is happy in their camp at the moment. They needed a win.
Yeah, they certainly did need a win. But again, they put up a fighting performance at home, as the success of last year proved that they can do that. Obviously, Ross County manager's not happy with a couple of things, but I don't think any of it was justified. You try to compare the first one in the first half with the goal. I thought the goal was good because he just used his upper body strength to get on top of the two defenders, and I thought it was a good goal. But again, and I kept looking at the highlights, and I hate going on about this whenever we do talk about it. See AstroTurf. I watched the 3 AstroTurf games, the highlights, and the amount of players who are slipping about, sliding, falling for no reason at all. It's getting ridiculous. It really is. I don't know if the surfaces need to be updated every so often, but I don't know if you agree with me, but the boy that gets sent off, he just slipped in that rubber. He never attempted to challenge the ball at all. He just fell. For no apparent reason, he just fell. And if you look at the Rangers game, the fullback there just fell for no apparent reason. And it's becoming a joke now when you see things that are happening on these surfaces.
Well, if I'm going to be brutal and blunt about this, if Tam says that, there's no loyalty in players, there's certainly no sporting integrity as far as the rules are concerned for teams in the SPFL. You all right, Tam? Yeah, I'll just check and see if that's.
Wait a minute. I just clear that off my sleeve.
Yeah, is that going to be a false negative? I'm not sure if that's we'll need to get that. Hold on a second. I'll get on the phone and see if we can get an answer out of Hampden Park on that to see if you're allowed to be on the programme.
I've been holding that in for half an hour.
Well, absolutely, and they said they're going to get back to me mid-October. The answer I can give you, Roughie, and probably 1,000,001 people who are talking to us on here on Facebook and YouTube, and I'll read out some messages shortly, is shut up, stop moaning about it. They are operating at a higher level. These people are business people who know what's good for Scottish football. So stop moaning about pitches, because they are absolutely living and operating and breathing at a level that your brain can't comprehend. These pitches are good. It's the way ahead. So shut up and stop moaning about it. Forget about sporting integrity and the fact that the game is changed dramatically by playing on this surface. Just get on with it. I think that's possibly the best way to look at it, Hugh, isn't it?
Well, the way I look at it is what chance have we got of getting Messi to come here? I mean, I think that's out the window now. With him, he's probably sitting down and watching Sports Scene last night and just saying, oof, there's an awful lot of plastic pitches there. I maybe have to make another choice. I'm against them, obviously. I just think, like Roughie says, the quality's poor now. You sit and watch. You know when you're watching a match in AstroTurf. You know the way the teams are trying to play on it, and it's just not good for football. And the line I always use, Peter, and I make no sort of bones about it, or no excuses for it. If AstroTurf pitches were the way forward, Real Madrid and Barcelona would be playing on. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
and they're not.
But to be fair, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of people. Mark Lynch says AstroTurf shouldn't be in the professional game, lads. I get the whole thing about financial gain for clubs, but not at the top level. I mean, I don't know, and I'm just throwing this out there, Tam. I just wonder if some of the pundits or some of the big companies have been told to keep quiet about it and say, stop moaning about it anymore. Try and keep a lid on it so they can get away with it. Because it's a disgrace. The 3 pitches are a nonsense.
Yeah, listen, Peter, we shouldn't be playing with top league games on AstroTurf. It's okay for training and for kids. I coach down at Braidhurst on AstroTurf, and it's great for doing drills with kids. It's better than a muddy pitch. The ball runs nice. It's good for young kids training. But in terms of top level football, we shouldn't be playing top level games on it. It's okay, for young kids, but it should be grass parts. It should be, that should be the required pitch in the top league is grass. If you've got an AstroTurf, you need to rip it up.
Yeah.
And down in England, I think Harrogate done it, and they've got to rip it up.
Yep.
I was up at our park at Partick Thistle the other day. There, it is a bowling green. It is. I was absolutely astounded myself. Now, if we can afford to have a grass park, Premier League clubs should afford a grass park because of the budgets that they get and the handouts they get, the money they get. There's no excuse for them not to have a grass park.
No, you're absolutely right, Roughie. And Motherwell's Park at one point had a problem over on the far side, but that was down to
drainage.
Their undersoil heating and the drainage. And I think at one point it had burnt the grass completely off the park. But Motherwell, to their credit, got their finger out and repaired it and sorted their park out, and it is immaculate. It's like a bowling green as well. The difference between Motherwell's bowling green and Thistle's is obviously Motherwell have players playing on it at the moment. Anyway, it'll come, Roughie. Don't worry about it.
Well, we don't have an option. We have an option to play.
Let it go, Roughie. Andy Wilson has just said to Hugh MacDonald, Messi has just agreed terms with Fort William. So clearly the AstroTurf is not having an effect on him. Well done, Andy. Always good to hear from you. So apart from anything else, one thing I will say, AstroTurf, I'm not a fan, but one thing that was great at the weekend was watching the goal from Mackenzie of Kilmarnock. And I tried to be positive, and I was saying to some of the journals yesterday, and it just shows you how life, and some of their viewpoints. I said, what a goal from Mackenzie. And he says, but you can do that when you're 3-0 up. And I thought, wow, we still managed to see a dark cloud on a sunny day. It was just a fantastic finish, Tam, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a tremendous goal. I don't need to try that when you're 3-0 up. It's just a great goal, whatever the score is. And Kilmarnock, fantastic result for Kilmarnock. Dundee United, I've been quite impressed by. I know you have as well, Peter. And Kilmarnock have turned them over. 4-0's a big result for Kilmarnock, and pushes him a couple of places up the table. And Mickey Mellon, first real setback for him at United, and they need Shanklin back, quickly, because he is a talisman, and I don't see them scoring enough goals to get anywhere near the top 6 if he's not in the team.
Yeah, Dougie Liddell says AstroTurf is used all over Europe. I wish people would just get on with it. Yeah, so used all over Europe, but not in the top flight, Roughie.
No, it isn't. And as Tam's explained, we know why certain clubs have them financially. Yeah, don't have a problem with that at all. But I think when it's a spectacle of your top league in your country, it should be good on the eye, and rather having people knocking it all the time. But that boy Mackenzie wouldn't have been able to score. That boy Mackenzie wouldn't have been able to score that goal if it was on grass.
Why is that, Roughie?
Because it sits up better on the AstroTurf.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sure Rory Mackenzie's well capable of doing it. It was a lovely goal, and he deserves great credit.
It was brilliant.
Just out of curiosity, did anybody pick Kilmarnock to win at the weekend? You did, Roughie. Did you?
Yeah, I did particularly well at the weekend. I'm waiting to see what the scores are when they come up.
Oh,
because I know
Roughie,
somebody didn't have a good weekend.
I had a terrible weekend. I had an absolutely terrible weekend.
Your pal beside you never had one either.
Yeah,
you had
done
4
right.
draws.
I think, but he still managed. He still managed to go ahead. That's the problem with it. He still managed to go further ahead of me. I had the nightmare. Anyway, I've got to say, St Johnstone against St Mirren. In the end, I was delighted to see Stevie May get a goal, Hugh. Stevie May is one of those guys that, pre that injury, I thought there was great things for him, but he's there at St Johnstone, settled, happy, and hopefully he scores a few for them this year.
Yeah, and he just seems to be one of those kind of, although we know he's been to Aberdeen and he went down to Sheffield, we know you would always think of him as a one-team player in many ways because of the link between him and St Johnstone. That's what he's there for, to score. Apparently, I mean, I just saw the highlights, but people who were at the game tell me it was the biggest 1-0 they'd seen, for quite some time. St Johnstone utterly dominant, and St Mirren right up against it. So a very good result for their side going forward. Under the new manager, want to pick up a bit of momentum. I honestly don't think St Johnstone, St Mirren will be. I think St Mirren have got bigger problems than St Johnstone. Don't get me wrong, but I think St Mirren's got a good base, so I think they might be all right, Peter.
Okay, and lots of people. St Mirren were shocking, says Lachlan Gold, and lots of comments there on how good that goal was from Kilmarnock as well, and Rory McKenzie. Good win for Kelly, 4-0. That's how it looks. What about the team of the week? Gabriel Antoniazzi always likes to pick 11 players. Let's see if you agree with him.
John McLaughlin made a crucial save to maintain his clean sheet record. That's 6 in a row now. Danny McNamara was St Johnstone's best attacking option and nearly got on the score sheet himself. Christopher Julian bounced back from midweek disappointment to lead and produced a tidy finish too. John Guthrie is Livingston's main man at the back now and made the telling difference on Saturday. Callum Waters putting a fantastic ball for Killy's first goal. Callum McGregor was Celtic's driving force all game and created the opening goal. Lewis Ferguson was everywhere in midfield and made it 3 strikes in 3 games with his penalty. Ross McCrory was man of the match and seems a massive signing for the Dons. Marvin Bartley showed his experience in the middle and tackled hard as ever. Ryan Kent was fantastic again with a hand in both goals and has been the standout player in the league so far. Nike Kabamba netted a brace and was a menace all day to the United defence.
Anybody missing, Tam, from that 11 that you think are worthy of inclusion?
I thought Matty Kennedy for Aberdeen was brilliant yesterday. So he maybe a wee bit unlucky. Maybe replace the right back there. I can't remember who it was, but I thought Matty Kennedy was
McNamara.
Excellent. So McNamara. I never obviously was at the game, but I thought Matthew Kennedy was brilliant, and I thought Johnny Hayes was great as well. It's the two wing backs for Aberdeen, but apart from that, I'll give Gavin the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the benefit of anybody else who's wondering about it, Gabriel has worked so hard here at our company for 2 or 3 years, but Roughie doesn't really care. That's why he's called him Gavin. So Cam's joining in the fun now.
It's too late now. It's Gav. It's Gav forever now.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing. You can always tell you're standing in the game, Hugh, when you won't even credit him with the popular name that his mum and dad are so proud of.
I know. Roughie's done that. He's done well today as well, Roughie. He's just slaughtered Rory McKenzie as well for people talking about the goal of the season and when he's talking about he couldn't do it on grass. I think Ruffy's been making these comments on grass, Wait for the sniffer dogs. Wait for the sniffer dogs to come on all to wonder that one out.
Yeah, you can always tell when he's just slightly off the mark. It's when he goes out and gets absolutely bevied on a Sunday night. The professionalism's not there nowadays, Tam. I think it's gone from him. He's not showing the same professionalism as we are when we've got a big programme on. Anyway, apart from anything else, here's how the table looks before we go into the international break. I don't know about you, but I always think the international break just comes too soon. Just as we're getting into a wee run here, Rangers looking good, 3 points ahead of Hibernian and Celtic further back, but with those games in hand at the bottom end, it's not good viewing for Motherwell and Hamilton. Lanarkshire clubs must do better. Elsewhere, I'm sure Dundee United Mickey Mellon would be hoping they could get up into that top 6, but that was a wee surprise at the weekend. What did you make of it? What do you make of the table as we're going into the the international break? I don't know about you. I mean, I want Scotland to do well, Tam, but the international break's always a bugbear of mine.
Yeah, especially when we're rotten most of the time. It's not a great break for us when we're getting beat. But listen, a couple of games for Scotland coming up, but I prefer the bread and butter of the league campaign, especially this season. I think it'll be a great season at both ends.
Yeah, here's the predictor. Let's grin and bear this. Here's shaping up, lads. I've got 46, I've got 48, and Tam's on 59. So I don't know. I just don't know what to say. I've got to take it in the neck, guys. Roughie, you had a good weekend. I think I only get the Celtic and the Rangers result correct. Everything else, I was all over the place, Roughie.
Yeah, I thought Tam was going to become a cropper. We always draws, which never. But he got 6 points with the other ones. I nearly got 2 correct scores. I think I got 13 points, so takes me back in the running. But there's a long way to go yet.
Yeah, and Tam, you must be happy because what we always do on this programme is we give someone who's out in front the right to just kind of lord it up for a week or two. You know, you've got the break, you're out in front, and it's just down to your punditry and your great understanding of Scottish football. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's just pure ability. It's just skill, and I'm looking for a bigger test. To be honest, I'm looking to move on to a stronger league because I'm getting a wee bit bored of slapping you two about.
Yep, well, that's good. That certainly can be arranged, Hugh, to be perfectly honest. We've had that line. We've had that line before. It can all be arranged. Anyway, apart from anything else, fair play to you. You're out in front. You're doing well. It's a good start. Couple of things. Shane Duffy, we mentioned with Celtic. Aaron Hickey is another one that we might be saying goodbye to. Hugh, Bologna look as if they're closing in on a deal there, which is a surprise, I have to say.
Well, he's obviously doing his due diligence, Peter. I thought this is pretty controversial, but I thought going to Bayern Munich wasn't the right move for him. It'd been because of his age. I think it's different. There's a couple of Celtic players and there'll be other Scots players who go to Bayern Munich and teams like that when they're 15 and 16. And I think, great, good on you. There's no downside to that. You're going to learn at the top level club, a club with extraordinary resources and coaches. But I think once you're getting to Hickey's age, and with Hickey's pedigree, and that Hickey has played first team football, I really think he has to go and has to talk to clubs and says, listen, I don't want to be in Bundesliga 3 here. You know, I don't want to be playing in youth football. I'm 18 now. I want to be playing first team. I want to be at least competing for a first team place, and he would be nowhere near that at Bayern Munich. So I think Bologna is a good move for him. If he's got. I mean, nobody can give you assurances, Peter, that you've been every week. But if he's got assurances from Bologna and said, listen, you're here with a view to playing in the first team, I think good on him, good experience for him, great life experience as well.
Yeah, I have no qualms. I was surprised by it, Tam, but I've got no qualms with players going abroad, sampling a different life. It's just a fantastic attitude. Of course, I always gauge it by the fact that there's no such a thing as we talked about at the top of the programme. There should be no such a thing as loyalty. It's a job. Players look at it and say, okay, can I earn more money? Sometimes, though, that decision for the short-term gain doesn't always give you the long-term ambition that you're hoping for.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I don't think there's any doubt that probably Bayern Munich would give him more money. There are a couple of clubs that's in for him, but Bologna, as you said, he's got an opportunity to maybe go over there and be involved in the first team, be in the 2022 first team squad. Bayern Munich, he's miles away. You know, he's absolute miles away for getting anywhere near that squad at the minute. So if he's made a football decision, fair play to him. He'll still be getting a good wage over there. But he's possibly putting his career and the opportunity to play first team football before, money, which is great for him. Not every player would do that. So fair play to him.
Yeah, we wish him well. I think he's definitely got something in the occasions that I watched him for Hearts. I certainly thought he had something about him. Whether he goes there, gets regular football, as Hugh has mentioned, only time will tell. Jambos fans, give us your thoughts on that. Hickey going $1.5 million in the kitty. Although, as we mentioned last week, Celtic will get a 30% cut of that because they had that in the deal for the sell on to Hearts in the first place. Nice little bit of business, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, a couple of things before we finish, guys. What about Scotland? Lyndon Dykes, remember him? He's been speaking today. Roughie says he wants to be, wants to become a regular, wants to become a real legend for Scotland, and he wants to say thank you for giving him the opportunity to play football in Scotland. He wants to give something back to the country.
Yeah, well, let's hope we all get something out of that. It's something we've not got, and it's something we've not had for a while. A sort of a big target man who can throw himself about. Obviously, with the withdrawal for our other forward, it gives him more chance to get a game. And I don't see why not. I think he's come on leaps and bounds. I personally think he can go up a level. I think he could, with the better players run about him, I think he will score goals. I'm not saying he'll score a lot of goals, but I think he would be an asset to us at this precise moment in time. I think we all know we would like a Lee Griffiths, but we've not got one. So for me, it's one up front, flood the midfield and get the midfield to sort of get round about him, get wide players in there and take it for there. But it'll cause anybody problems. If he continues to play the way he plays, I think that's sometimes what we need at Hampden. I think there's so many teams come there in the back four, get a free hit. They just wander about as if they're swanning about. And I think he'll make himself felt. I'm not going to even tag Joe Jordan's name onto him because the style of play he's got will ruffle up defenders, even good defenders. So let's see what he does if he gets a game.
Are they similar, Roughie? Are they similar players?
I like the same style of players. They put themselves about, and they make defenders. They make defenders defend. No defender. I've never seen a defender getting an elbow in the gub for years. I've never seen a defender at Hampden walking off the park with a bloody nose or his lip off thing. Wait, that's what we need.
Okay, so Rory McKenzie's not good enough to score on grass, and Lyndon Dykes needs to go and banjo somebody right on the nose to show us what we need. Yes, although I would say to you this, listen, I mentioned it a couple of months ago when we were interviewing the boy and trying to get the answer out of him, Hugh. Listen, I don't want to put pressure on him, and Ruffy's right. I can see the similarity in just the style of a hustle and bustle striker. If he was half the player Joe Jordan was, I'd have a poster of him up on my wall, Hugh. Joe Jordan, let me just tell you, is not a need to remind you, Hugh, which is a joy of having you on the show with Roughie. Joe Jordan, Morton, Leeds United, Manchester United, goes over to play for AC Milan in Italy, top drawer.
Well, I'm just trying to work out how many World Cup finals that Joe Jordan scored in. 3 World Cup final tournaments he scored goals in. So not bad, not bad at that. The other thing when Ruffy's talking about this is I would say Lyndon Dykes, the way Ruffy's talking about is more like Jason Statham than Joe Jordan, but we'll leave it at that. The fact about Lyndon Dykes, of course, is the big story now is that he plays on Friday. I mean, there can be no mystery about that anymore.
Yeah,
there's not another striker. There's not another striker in the team unless they want to go with Christie at number 9. I mean, it's Stevie Clark. I think is now that's one decision made for him. The Dykes has to start.
Yeah, another good thing about it, Tam, is the last thing Scotland wants to do is not to play with any strikers. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I mean, surely we always play with strikers. I don't know any manager that wouldn't play with strikers.
No.
But to be honest with you, no, absolutely not. Dykes has to play. We'll get a look at him, and it's not going to be a one-game wonder. But I think the one element that Ruffy's right about, he gives us that area where I hope we don't need to go long to him. We just need to get crosses into the box and let him have a go and let him go. If we are under pressure, I'll never forget the game. I think against the Czech Republic when we didn't play with any strikers. I'll never.
There's Peter's away, Tam.
I'll never forget the game where we played the ball back from the centre spot, and McManus played it up to nobody, Hugh, and there was no strikers on the park. He had no option. Dykes will at least give us an out if we're under pressure.
Used to be called that. It used to be called, you know how the chess players all have different names for their ploys? That used to be called playing it up to nobody. Used to be called the McManus ploy. That was the McManus gambit. Just play it big up front and own stick. No, that was that. You know something? I watched that game with my son and his mates, and it was the first time I've ever been with guys who are committed Scotland fans who weren't bothered about. I wouldn't say didn't want Scotland to win, but weren't that bothered towards the end. They were just kind of sickened by that night. That was a really bad night for Scottish football that night.
Yeah, I really hope Lyndon Dykes does well. If he gets a goal, even better. It would be wonderful just to give him the service, and I think that's the key to it all as well. Tam, strikers need service and support.
Yeah, they do, Peter. And listen, we've got plenty of good wingers, wide men. Like James Forrest and Christie and Fraser. And, these guys can all play in the wide areas and get them balls into the box. But you can't just lump balls up to him because he's a big lad. You've got to play on his feet. He's a good touch. He's very, very good at bringing the ball down his chest. I've noticed that over the last, even when he was at Queen of the South and watched the games, he's great at holding the defender off and bringing it down his chest and then laying it off. It's one of his big strengths. So, no, I think he'll do well for the country, and hopefully he can get off to a flyer because he'll get a lot of confidence if he can score in these first couple of games. He'll be off and running.
Yeah, Stu Mack, who's on YouTube, says Lyndon Dykes lacking ambition choosing Scotland. He obviously doesn't want to qualify for a major finals. Painful to read that out, but I've just read it out anyway. Even if Stuart is at the wind-up, nevertheless, he's chosen us. We were badgering him as if he was Joe Jordan. I remember the interview, having a fair bit of fun with the boy, but he was hedging his bets, waiting, chatting to Steve Clarke, and then obviously Roughie, never mind Steve Clarke having to justify whether he gets picked once or 50 times for Scotland. It's down to the boy now to go out there and do it for us.
Yeah, I just get a wee vibe about him. Yeah, he believes that he's going to be better than what he is, and I think he knows he's got a lot to prove. But I think the training that he'll have with the other players, the McGinns, guys that he can look up to, guys that can see the quality that they're in the squad, and I think he'll respond to that. I really do think he'll score. I think a set piece or something like that, he'll get something out of the game.
Yeah, Jonathan Dow says, I hope Dykes does well. Well done to you, Jonathan, for a positive mention there, because quite simply, we've had a rocky 4 or 5 months with lots of negative headlines and bad news, setbacks aplenty, people not obeying rules, not sticking to them, and of course, as well as the full-scale fight that we all had together, maybe Lyndon Dykes scoring a goal will lift the whole nation and start to believe again. Fingers crossed, because I do like Steve Clarke as a manager. And I thought it was a great write-up you did, Hugh, in the Daily Mail with him, just getting him off at a different slant in his career.
Yeah, well, and the whole point of it was just to talk about the coaches that he'd worked with in his career, from people of my age. I remember Ricky McFarlane at St Mirren, right through to, Stevie's worked with Hewlett, Bobby Robson, Kenny Dalglish, Jose Mourinho. That's a pretty good CV, and these are guys that don't take number twos lightly. Give them responsibility and expect input. And he was very, very open about what he'd learned from each of them. I enjoyed doing it, so that's the main. As long as I enjoyed doing it, Peter, that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically Roughie's ethos for the last 8 years. As long as he enjoys doing it, that's the main thing. I'm going to just say to you right now, just before we go, La Liga are standing by Barcelona. They want the 630 million release clause honoured. This one is going to go right down to the wire and all the way to court, Tam. If I'm looking at it this way and suggesting one player wants to away and Barcelona are digging in for money in the final year of his contract, Lionel Messi.
Yeah, it's going to end up in the courts, Peter. No doubt about it. You know, when that amount of money's involved, nobody will back down. You know, Messi will know if he can get Arena free, he can take his pick and get serious money. You know, he doesn't need it, but he can get a massive sign-on fee and stuff like that. And Barcelona want their money, so it's going to go to court, sadly.
It's a strange situation we're living in, Hugh, because at the end of the day, you know, it's a technicality of whether he gets it out for nothing or they have to stump up money.
They should let him go, Peter, for nothing.
Yeah,
for his loyalty and what he's done for the club, in my opinion.
I agree with you, but there's no such a thing. Loyalty doesn't come into it.
Yeah, I know.
The whole of football is based on greed, Hugh.
Aye, and as soon as we get our head round that, the better. I mean, this is business. It's just business. It's pound notes. It's euros, it's whatever way you want to look at it. There's a lot of money here. Barcelona as well, I mean, they need the money. Barcelona in big debt. They've got a presidential election coming up. They need a clear out there as well, Peter. So they need money to reinvest in the club. The recruitment has been poor over the last few years. So that great one, it's the old cracked crest, Peter. The Barcelona cracked crest will have to be on the back pages.
Yeah, I mean, when would you get it? You're such a devil, Hugh, but when would you ever get a cracked crest for a pre-season defeat to Chelsea? Anyway, Sean Grogan says, courts, Hearts will probably have to get involved. So, I mean, there is
Anne Budge is watching this closely.
Yeah, Anne Budge already put out a statement.
It's probably the first programme we've had where we haven't had a statement at the end of the programme. And Ian Noble says Spain wants their tax. It's as simple as that. Everybody wants a cut somewhere along this.
I can say one thing, Peter, one thing for certainty. I can't predict anything in football, and I wouldn't be, if I was in it, I wouldn't be in the lead for your predictions table by a long way. But I'll tell you something, Barcelona's not phoning Anne Budge and asking for the name of her lawyers.
No, definitely not. Well, I think Messi would be still in there for a 5-year deal at the end of it. I want no harm to her because I've backed Hearts to the hilt and got it in the neck from more than a few people on our YouTube and our Facebook account as well. It's a joy. Listen, all roads this week are all about, obviously we'll talk about the transfers. Shane Duffy could be there. Of course, Morelos, we'll keep an eye on that. Some of the deals that could be done with all the clubs in the Premiership, but it's international football as well we'll be looking at and weighing up Scotland against Israel and, of course, Czech Republic against Scotland as well. And we'll hear from the Scotland camp, hopefully the Scotland manager too, as he moves forward to pick that 11 that hopefully get us in the mood going through the winter months to that eventual playoff where hopefully we can make it to a tournament. I don't know about you, Roughie. I might as well, just as we get ready to close, I loved following Scotland with my mates who were in minibuses, traipsing about an old battered red Audi that we bought for £100, just going up to Italy to see them play against Sweden in the World Cup. It was magnificent. You just want that again. The young kids nowadays don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, it's fantastic. I obviously had the privilege of being there, but I'd love to go as a supporter. I really would. I'd love to go away for 7-10 days or something and just watch the games from that point of view. And when it must be great as a supporter to travel away and your country gets a win, make it the night out even better. So let's hope it's just round the corner for us.
Yeah,
and Roughie's running out of time. They better make it quick, Peter. He's not got time left. He's not got another 20 years in him.
Talk about being morbid. To be honest with you, I've had a look at the first round of games that would be taking place in Euro 2021, and Roughie has a party to go to that night, so unfortunately he won't be able to come with us in the PLZ minibus over Europe to try and follow the games, which is rather unfortunate. But nevertheless, hopefully he'll tell us those tales. We need a night out, boys. It's coming soon. Only man who's declared himself unfit and unavailable for selection for a socially distanced get-together is Hugh MacDonald. That's all I'm saying to you, Tam. His loyalty is in question for the first get-together of the year.
Must have a Daily Mail night out or one of your outlets that he writes for.
that shall remain a secret. To the countless thousands of people. You said don't bother asking him.
Yeah.
To the countless thousands of people who have sent us, Steve Black as well. Thank you very much, Steve, for following us on Facebook. Don't forget, like, share, and follow us. Thank you to so many people who've subscribed now, 20,000 and climbing every day, every week, because people are noticing we're giving you Scottish news and managers and players interviews. You can get that on our Facebook. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on the app. If you download the app, PLZ Soccer, you'll get all of it at your fingertips. You get the live show. You get the podcast. You get it all. So thank you to the thousands who are now following us Monday to Friday. The figures are there on Facebook and YouTube. Can't lie. We are number one right across the whole of the country, giving you a football fix every day, opinions, no shortage of banter. Need I say more? Hugh MacDonald, Tam McManus, Alan Ruff, myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.